thank the Board of Directors for this honor. Sincerely appreciated from myself and my family. I'm going to go a little bit different than the previous speakers and get a little more serious in terms of your retirement. Looking forward, you ought to be thinking about retirement now. You grew up and are growing up in a structured organization. So there are imperatives that are built into the process. Financial structure, environment, health, welfare. If you don't start to think now about your future, you will wake up on a parade field several years later in retirement. And what I'm going to suggest to you is my roadmap that may fit some of you, may fit none of you, but if it hits one of you, I've been a success in giving these remarks today. When I retired in '93 from an overseas assignment, which is a little bit more difficult because your networking is truncated somewhat, I used not a search firm, but classmates at the Army War College and those through the intervening 30 years in the service. What transpired was several issues came across my table in terms of hiring firms that were looking for somebody with my background. But I laid out these parameters for myself. One, I had to have some financial structure. Two, I had to be in an environment that I wanted to excel in, which meant to me I wanted to be in a flat line organization and only wanted to report to one individual. Three was I wanted the opportunity to sit on for-profit boards, for nonprofit boards, to sit on commissions, both from a congressional standpoint and a presidential standpoint and a DoD standpoint, which means it would pull you away from the hiring firm. So I went into the search with those parameters. Quite frankly, there are not a lot of people who sign up for that. Clearly, the overseas people were not enamored with that laydown. But what I did find, there was one organization that was willing to hire me with those parameters. Quite fortuitously, had just come out of, not just, in the past 5 years, had come out of a reorganization of Chapter 11 from bankruptcy. So they were restructuring and they were building an organization from the floor up. And my job was to learn the organization. Take a year to learn the organization, and then you will be productive. Everything seemed to be flowing fairly well, and walked into the office one day, and the firm was sold. Sold to a structured organization that would not sign up for the parameters I laid down. So you're sort of in a catch-22, which way do you go? The firm that bought the basic firm would hire me, but I did not want to go that way. And the opportunity presented itself for a startup firm that you could get in on the ground floor. That startup firm's notion was, we're a $500 million corporation now. The outside number is $15 billion in 7 years, and we're going to get there through the acquisition process, not as an equity firm, but as a management firm. So the focus was aerospace and defense, with a little 5% of the portfolio in commercial enterprise. I said, okay, I'm going to stay here. This looks like a winner. And you set your guideposts out there. 20 years, you wake up and you're 65 and you say, well, maybe I stay a little bit longer. You wake up in your mid-70s, and all of a sudden, you get stale and the corporation is tired of your services, is a classic way to put it. But you had built into the process enough fiduciary responsibilities for your family and enough goodwill going forward that you could see your way through the next phase of your life, which is retirement again. So you sort of, can I put my feet up on a railing and play golf? Could, but that's not my makeup. I needed to keep my thought process in the next 20 years, if I live that long, going forward in a healthy environment. So my message there is, think before you really, really want to retire. Now, as we had one fortuitous in a process happen that sort of bridged the gap for everything for me and for some of my colleagues, and it was COVID. It caused a series of us, maybe 10 or 15 of us, to meet on a daily basis, if you can believe this, daily basis, and solve every issue in the world that was presented to us, every single one of us. We went away happy and glad, and it put us in the right frame of mind. Never talked about finances or playing golf or any of that, although we did play some golf on the side. So as you scroll forward, COVID is over, and you have this trough, and you're now about to be 90, and something confronts yourself. What's next? The next phase is very, very interesting. The next phase says, I'm going to retire and live the rest of my life in my home, and there is enormous cost associated with this because it's all for profit. Nobody comes in for free unless it's your family, and then it's a demand on your family. The other one is to go into a retirement home. There are some very good ones in the greater Washington area with a military bent, whether it's Knollwood or the Fairfax or even Falcons Landing. All very, very good, all pricey. So you have to put away some repository of dollars that will underwrite either way you go. So the point I'm trying to make to you, although you scroll all the way through, you're in your 90s, there's something more to look forward to. What's the best welfare for you and your family in the post-90s time frame? If you think it through, it's very easy to transition through it. If you don't, and I'm suggesting that you do now, it's never too early to think about your retirement. It's never too late until it's too late. God bless everyone.